Hello there, I'm Scotty, and you're not, and it's time to tear a movie apart. This movie landed like a wet fart. Bunch of girls kicking a bunch of men's butts. This movie's not for you if you have nuts. Okay, so yes, we are looking at the 2019 Black Christmas movie, and if you're thinking, hold on a minute, I don't want that TV in there simulating 2K22 right now. But this is entrance, right? Okay, if you're thinking to yourself, Scotty, didn't you already review this? Well, no, technically not. I did a video on it back in 2019 when it came out because of all the reviews I was seeing, people talking about it, and hearing what it was about, that I got mad. Because I think around that time I just watched the original Black Christmas, and I loved that movie. I still haven't bought that damn thing, but I love it. And then this comes, and I was like, really? You're gonna, this is, okay. The original Black Christmas was my first ever Christmas review on the channel. And now, and then I did a uh, I would have done the remake last year, but I didn't. I did a revisited because that was one of my first Christmas reviews in my first year YouTube. So, yeah. And then, so I did a video, basically my thoughts on what I'd heard and everything. I was told about it. And you know what? I don't think I was far off on this. But I wanted, why I did this now is I wanted to actually watch the movie and see for myself. And I'm pretty much validated in my thoughts, as I said in that video. This is pretty much, giving men the middle finger and basically telling men you suck. As a man, it's not good to watch. But I'll say one thing, and this is the only compliment. It's better than Slumber Party Massacre remake. That was another female empowerment agenda movie, but that really was trying to stick it to men to the point that they even tried to, stick it to men like, oh look, you've been doing all this naked stuff with women for years since the 80s slasher movies, so we're gonna do that with men, and that was almost disrespectful. And you should think, oh yeah, but how do you think women feel? But the thing is that women have been objects of affection, have been objects of beauty, of showing off their curves. They are literally better looking than men in every single way. They have a more curved body. They are meant to be observed and looked at as the gorgeous creatures they are. Men, we ugly fuckers. Alright? Here's a difference. Even a woman will say that they'd rather see a woman's butt cheeks on screen than a man's. Right? That's the difference. And here, it's basically bashing men. And I'm probably never going to watch this again. I don't want to be sitting there and being told I'm a bad person just because I'm a man. And you may say, oh, that's how they're doing. Yeah, the character of Chris is the worst character in the movie because she's basically bashing all men, no matter what. Like, there's this guy, Landon, who's a nice guy, and, at first time she sees him talking to Riley, she gives him a look. Riley's our main character played by Imogen Poots, by the way. Which, by the way, why have a 30-year-old play a college student? It makes no sense to me. Why? I can tell she's not a college student. She's 30. Come on. And I'm not reaching here like, oh, you always say 30. She was 30. She's 33 now. It was 3 years ago. She was 30 when this movie came out. Yeah, why can't you get someone in their early 20s to play a college student? You can do that for high school. It just didn't make sense to me, but what do I know? I'm a man, right? the story with Riley is that sometime before this movie, she was raped by this frat guy. I'm guessing maybe it was a year before because this guy's no longer there. And no one believed her. She tried to take it to the cops. They didn't believe her. The case was dismissed. Similar thing happened at Degrassi. But she's, so they get the opportunity to do a musical performance at that frat house and they make it all about the rape, basically. And that leads to them getting weird messages from the college's founder, who is dead. And they make a big deal about, there was a bust of Calvin Hawthorne, and Chris made them move it to the frat house. Big deal, because that comes up later. And yeah, everything that Chris says in this movie, like at the beginning at least, when she's talking about Calvin Hawthorne, she's like, well, he owned slaves. So did several presidents. And several people in the government back then. I know this is cancel culture, you're gonna cancel Thomas Jefferson, right? He did worse than own slaves, let me tell you. But you're gonna condemn him, you're gonna, that's the thing about cancel culture I don't get, is cancel everyone. If you try to cancel everyone who offended every little thing, there'd be no one left. Because I guarantee you, not everyone, but there's a lot of people out there who have done something. Look at all the celebrities that have been thrown out into our culture and basically cast aside because of something they did years in the past that some of them have even apologized for, but still get condemned because they did it. If they apologize and they feel sorry about it, and they really feel sorry, if they're just apologizing so that, oh hey, I apologize, so you gotta forgive me, that's one thing. They're like, I'm sorry, I'm really sincerely sorry. It's like Hartley Sawyer on The Flash. We'll talk about that in my season 6, 7 review when I get to it. But James Gunn too. They did tweets, right? Years, 8+ years in the past, they did tweets. And then all these years later, they were called out on it. James Gunn lost Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 temporarily. Until he went to DC and Marvel was like, we fucked up, and brought it back. Hartley Sawyer was fired from The Flash for his comments from years earlier. And they've both apologized for them, but they don't care. And where was I even going with this? I really don't know where I was at in the movie either, where I was talking, but I'm just saying, it's one of those kind of things where the cancel culture, that's what it was. Like, she's gonna condemn everyone who owned a slave, everyone who did that back in the day where that was not completely acceptable, but like it was a living, back in those days. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I am against slavery. Put that on my tombstone. Against slavery. I don't know why you would, but I'm just saying. I'm against slavery. I was born in Iowa. That's the North, right? Yeah, I'm not for slavery at all. But you're gonna condemn everyone. This character is a walking, talking cancel culture leader, so to speak, and she's the worst character. Nothing against the cancel culture stuff. Well, yeah, against the culture. Nothing against standing up for your rights, what you believe in, and what for things that happened in the past. Fine. And yes, true, those people never apologized for what they did with slavery, so that's one thing. But the guy's dead. It's a friggin' bust. And they're gonna condemn. What else is she gonna go for? The college is named after him. Is she gonna try to have him change the name of the college? I'm just saying, like, there's crusades you can go on, and sometimes the crusades you go on just are gonna be kind of tough, to move past this subject. So yeah, and no one believed Riley, and that's like the big problem. And no one believed her. And yeah, we start off this movie with a kill. It's basically like, what was her name, Jill, or whatever it was at the beginning of the original, where she gets killed, but no one knows where that she was killed. She was, you know, she went missing. But this is so okay. So one of besides the cancel culture wokeness, female agenda, men suck nature of this movie, another big problem is that it's PG-13. Every single fucking kill is a cutaway. Even a neck snap is cutaway. Everything is a cutaway. And this first kill makes no fucking sense. First of all, the killer in the mask here, he grabs an icicle and stabs her with it, which kills her. We don't see it, of course, because it's off screen. But you can't stab someone with an icicle. It breaks. You ever seen an icicle? It's not that sharp. You try to hit someone, it's gonna break. You're not gonna stab someone. And more so, it's good off screen. You got it covered, and he moves it. And then when they show the dead girl's body, there's no stab mark anywhere, no stab wound, nothing. How did she die? There's no stab wound. And when they drag her away, the snow angel in the snow is a penis. Subtle movie. Subtle. But yeah, that's how we start the film. And every kill is a cutaway. There's a neck snap that's a cutaway. There's several stabbings that are cutaways. There's everything is cutaway. Everything. Everything is a cutaway. So yeah, they're organizing this thing at the frat house, like I said. And then Riley works at this coffee house. She meets Landon. He's a nice guy, right? He's a nice guy. And so they go to the frat house for the performance, and right away they basically show you what's going on. Because she's peeking in on this ceremony where they have this black goo coming out of the bust of the founder, and they do something to this one guy poking his head with this stuff on his forehead or whatever. Right, if you're smart enough to figure out, oh, it's some kind of ritual where they use the black goo from the founder's bust to control them to do stuff. And remember that most of these frat guys are being controlled by the black goo and are not doing this of their own will. Remember that. So they do this performance where they sing up on the rooftop, but it's up in the frat house, and it's basically about the rape. Riley's a little nervous at first because her rapist is there, but she musters the courage to do this, right? And then Chris goes and posts it on the internet there's an ending where someone said, well, that'll teach him to rape someone, and that causes problems. That's when the texts start to come in. And then another one of their frat sisters disappears. We'll get to that later. And, so, yeah, and then there's stalking, and then Landon and Riley get to know each other, that sort of thing. And then you can tell sometimes that she's also nervous of him. A little bit, but, And then, yeah, a bunch of frat people attack the frat house. But, that's because Chris, sends the text message, hey, Hawthorne, something, something, and then they come in, and there's 3 of them that they take care of and kill themselves. So yeah, strong female characters. And that's the thing. Do we need more female empowerment stuff in slashers? Slashers are probably the #1 place in horror you'll get female empowerment. You don't need one that beats the female empowerment message over your head, because you've got final girls up the wazoo in those movies. Look at Laurie Strode, Nancy Thompson. Even Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connor. Hey, you know her. No, you're Turbo Man, not Terminator, but yeah. Not a Final Girls. Yeah, those last two weren't horror. Aliens, Alien and Aliens, those are action horror. And people say the first Terminator is a slasher. I don't see it. I see it as a sci-fi movie, sci-fi action movie. Yeah. So when shit goes down, Riley and Chris start driving, and they say, "Hey," Chris is like, "We're gonna go to the cops. We're gonna tip them everything," and then like she figures out exactly what's going on. She's like, "There's that black goo that was on the thing, and they must be controlling them, and blah blah," because they stabbed them, and they're like, "Why is it not red?" And I literally looked and like, because it's PG-13. Really? You put that line in the movie and you don't expect that response? Because right away, they're like, why isn't it red? And I went, because it's PG-13. Because it's fucking PG-13. That's exactly what I said. Because it's fucking PG-13. That's why it's black. But, I would have loved, though, if they had the line. This movie doesn't have the balls to do it. But they were like, why is it black? And have Chris, because she's the female gender one, going, excuse me? No, that's not what I meant. Put a little humor into it. There's not really that much humor. Something about a diva cup. I'm a man. Is that like a diaphragm or something for you put? Or is that like something for your period? I'm a man. I don't understand that stuff. What can't you say a pad? Or as my son called them, here's grandma's diapers. In his defense, he was 4. And that was right in the middle of Walmart too. She was checking out, and she goes, "Here." He goes, "Here, Grandma. Here's your diapers." Little smart ass, that kid. Chip off the old block, really. But anyway, man, to get my composure. In fact, while I do that, I'm gonna get a little more eggy nog. I'm running out. So, I am really running out. I'm almost completely out of eggy nog. I went through that. It's because I was trying to save. I had 2 bottles of eggnog I was trying to save, but I got, and I just because I decided to film these last, so I got impatient and I drank like half of the first bottle, just drinking it out of the bottle while waiting to get ready to record this. I shouldn't have, but I love eggnog so much. Anyway, what was I? Yeah, so they're arguing in the car. Chris says they should go to the cops, but Riley says they're not going to believe us. They didn't believe me. You know, drawn from her personal experiences, which I understand. She doesn't think they're going to believe them. She even goes to a security officer earlier, and he didn't believe her. So she's got 2 different kind of experiences where she wasn't believed. So she's going to go on her own. She recruits Landon. This is the part that confuses me. Well, it did at first. But, so earlier in the film, before everything happened, one of the girl's boyfriends, Nate, starts getting a headache and he starts acting different. But it doesn't go anywhere because he's killed by the frat people. And it's revealed later that this headache is the founder statue taking over. But I thought you had to have the black thing on your forehead first. They can't just take you over. I don't know. Because it happens again when Landon is talking to the frat. They're like, hey, he's like, I want to join your frat. And it was just like a subterfuge, a lie to trick them. But then he gets a headache. And then eventually he's mind controlled into doing this stuff. Remember, most of them are controlled to do these actions that they are doing. They're not doing it of their own free will. I have to express that because it really comes back in the final act. Okay? So shit comes down. everything comes down to it. Riley tries to sneak in. She gets captured because she goes up into the frat house. She hears her friend that went missing, Helena, but it's revealed she was in on it. So wait, how in on it? Because wasn't she the one she stopped from getting raped earlier? So was that a setup for her to come in there? Wait, hold on, it doesn't make any sense. The guy was going to rape her, and she came in and stopped him. And he made a big deal, but then it's revealed she's in on it. And she was drunk. She ended up puking. I don't get it. She was in on it. Then why was she drunk? And she was drunk because she actually threw up. This doesn't make any sense. The twist makes no sense. If she was in on it, why was she drunk? Why was she about to get raped? I don't understand. Because she's in on it because she's ready to, quote unquote, and I quote what these guys said, not what I believe, take her rightful place as a woman behind man. Wow. They're not fucking subtle at all, are they? They really want to push that message that all men want is for women to be obedient and do what they want and stay in the kitchen and cook and clean and wash the dishes. Look, that's all fine and dandy. You want to cook, clean, wash the dishes, whatever. But be your own woman. Go out, have a job. Join the army. Do stuff on your own accord. You don't need to serve, man. You're not a cookbook from the Twilight Zone. Spoiler alert for that episode, by the way. You don't need to serve, man. That's not what you're there for. Back in the 50s, maybe even before that, there was, everyone thought that's what women were for. But over the years, women, they have come up on this. And women are just as equal as men. But, yeah, I don't believe any of that at all. I went, oh, really? You're just... Any subtlety went out the fucking window now. But yes. So, Riley... And they tell Riley, you have to do it. You get down on a knee, and they kill Helena because that's where the next step comes in. And it's just like, yeah. And then we have Cary Elwes playing Professor Gelman. He's the big leader of this group, and he explains what happened when Chris made them move the bus. They found out that the black goo is in it. Hats make me itchy, and they found out they could control people and make them do what they wanted, and they're going to try to control women, but they've only been using it on men. I don't know, to be what And Helena fell in line, I guess, but then she's killed, all for the I don't know. That just makes the twist even more stupid now because she was working for them, but then she was about to it doesn't make any sense. And eventually she's like, okay, I'll bend a knee. But then Chris and her friends come in a moment that was supposed to get cheers, I guess, but I don't think it did because I bet you how much eye rolls. Because don't mess with Kappas, bitch, or whatever. And they come in and they're fighting. And at one point, Chris says, hey, suck my, and it cuts away. Now, I made a big point about this in Alvin's Christmas Party, where Olivia Munn's character said, suck my dick. And I've seen other movies where women say, hey, suck my dick. But they're women, they don't have them, unless they're trans, sort of thing. What are they supposed to say here? The only thing I could think of is, suck my clit? That's the only thing I can think of. And I don't want Jake, I am the clit commander. But, that's the only thing I can think of. My ass? I don't know. The only thing I can think of, it's cut. Because it's PG-13. It's PG-13. Even earlier, they're making a comment about jerking off, and they say junking off. Who calls it that? Junk off. That's what they say. They say junk off. I'm like, junk off? Who calls it that? Because it's PG-13 and you can't say jerk off. But I swear I've heard in PG-13, hey, watch it, jerk off. I swear I've heard that in a PG-13 movie before. But you can't say jerk space off. You can call someone a jerk off. You can't I don't know. It's confusing. But here we get to probably one of the worst parts of this movie. Alright? The climax. She destroys the statue, which releases everyone from the control. Right? Except for maybe frat boy that raped her and Gelman. Gelman gets freaking set on fire. And then Landon saves Riley, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think they were gonna have a man save her, just because the way this was written, they're trying to say that men are shit. Yeah, so they're able to get out, Landon included, and this whole place is coming on. Chris set him on fire, so everything is now aflame. And so they lock the door, barricade it, put like a big wooden thing through it, shutting the door and locking all the other frat guys, including the rapey guy, in there. Let me remind you what I've been stating throughout the review. Most of them were controlled by the black goo and weren't in control of their actions. Essentially, these women killed mostly innocent people. Yeah. In fact, I am pretty sure that except for the rapey guy, everyone else in there was innocent. And were just mind controlled and had no control over their bodies. Maybe rapey guy's best friend from earlier, but I'm pretty sure everyone else was pretty much innocent. At least if there were pledges. And you're just burning them alive. Innocent people. Wow. Fuck you. Just fuck you. All in the name of female empowerment. Wow. Wow. Just no. And much like those frat boys, this movie can fry in hell. It's not even worth me getting up to get the frying pan on this one. It just, no, fuck you. This is bullshit. I was watching this and I was like, you know what? This is maybe just not worth your time. Until that ending. They killed innocent men in the name of female empowerment. That's bullshit. That is bullshit on the highest form. Why? Why do all of them deserve to die because of 2 or 3 people's agenda? You do understand, most of those people were mind controlled, not in control of their body. They were not, no, what the hell? It makes no sense to me. This is, oh God, this movie. I'm done talking. Frying hell. Alright? So what are your thoughts on Black Christmas 2019? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And thus brings us to the end of another Christmas series of reviews. Only 7 this year. Just wanted to do 1 week. Just probably easier for me. Hold on, I got itch. But yeah. Not the greatest of endings, but it'll have to do. And then now I'm going to be on a bit of a break. I'm going to try to get Season 5 of The Flash watched, and I'm going to get started on stuff for next year. And I'm going to do a video explaining the changes for the channel in 2023, because there's some interesting changes for the better, I hope. But, yeah. So hope you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.